Right.
Janet?
So I'm going to touch on this a little bit because I feel like we have a lot of anxiety right now in our culture. And, if you go to a spa, the first thing that they do is they put on that music of running water. And, so they've touched into that one.
Yeah.
They've got that one right. You have the tranquil sounds, but it's all nature usually running through that.
Right.
And I think in order for your brain to actually calm down, sometimes we just need to have those cues from our nature because that's how we were made. And if you are out there, then I don't think you realize it how often that we start calming down. And why that's so important is if we're not calm and we're always in that flight state, then you aren't going to repair on your tissue level and your brain level. Your brain's not going to ever get to that point where things are calming.
So, Janet, tell them about our experience when we flew into Philadelphia and stepped off the plane and was there for like 3 or 4 days a few weeks ago.
We live in a very rural area as well. So for us, and we go into the mountains and we do a lot of outside activities. So for us, this is kind of, being at peace in nature is important to us. So we're in a big city, one of the largest cities in the United States, and we didn't realize how loud it was. We actually had to tell each other to stop yelling at each other.
Right.
We're like, but it was constant horns. It was just
traffic, people
it
talking,
was people, and it was normal noises. Now, I'm not saying that this was horrible from the standpoint that people have to live, but if you never step out of it and never find that, it was never quiet. It was constant noise, and we didn't realize how we were just like, until we stepped away from it, and you actually could breathe, and you're like, okay, we don't have to yell at each other to hear each other anymore.
It's like sensory overload.
Exactly.
It really
for
was.
Me, anyway.
And we didn't even realize.
No.
Well, there was, and it's not like Jen and I haven't traveled to big cities before, but Philadelphia was the probably the biggest.
Dense.
Yes.
Yeah, because we've been to LA, of course.
That's
yeah, but it's so spread out,
right?
And so Philadelphia, we just felt like there were just the concentration of people, and so we were kind of overwhelmed for 3 or 4 days, but we didn't really realize it until we got back home, and we're like, oh my gosh, it's so quiet here.
But the people in the city, because we have had guests stay with us, relatives or friends who are from the city, like Chicago, and they come out here and it's almost freaky to them.
Yeah.
First of all, it can be quiet, but it also at certain times it can be really loud with crickets and frogs. And it would just, they're like, it's so, what is this? You know, and we're like, this is nature.
Right. To me, that's peaceful.
Yeah, to me too.
When I hear crickets and stuff, right.
And they do say you get used to the sounds in the city because it's the background noise finally does die down. But like you said, it's for me coming from somewhere like this, it's a bit of a shock for the first few days.
Yeah. Well, I know, I think that generationally speaking, we were, and not that the cities are necessarily bad, but I think it's probably good to get out of the city and get into nature therapy.
Absolutely.
And really, one thing we did notice is, like in probably pretty much any major city, is you only have to go an hour outside of the city and you're in a rural area. So
it's not hard.
No, it's not that difficult. So,
and there are green spaces now in cities.
That's true.
They're trying to make an attempt to bring that to people, which is good because you can get some benefit from those green spaces, but it's nothing like getting completely out of the city.
Correct. Right. So tell us, we're going to get some green space and some enjoy some nature therapy after our podcast. Where are we going to ride today?
So because you told me you were bringing a certain bike, we are going to do the trails on the Arkansas River and go across the largest pedestrian bridge in the country, the Big Dam Bridge. Okay.
Awesome.
So it is massive. It's awesome. It goes right across the Arkansas River, and we'll ride along the river and towards downtown Little Rock. So you'll get to see that.
I shouldn't be excited about
that was on your bucket list. But no, it is still, Little Rock is, it's our capital, but it's not a big city. So it's still lots and lots of trees, and it's almost like a suburban area for most big cities.
Yeah.
That's what it feels like to me anyway.
Well, I will tell you, big city is all relative, especially to somebody that's grown up in very small. I thought I grew up in a small city until you talked to Janet.
Because where did Janet grow up?
North Dakota.
Yes.
Rural North Dakota.
That's where my brother-in-law lives in Minot.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah. Janet was right outside of Minot.
Yeah.
Velva.
Yeah. So where Dot's Pretzels were made.
Yes.
That place. Yes. So, my first school, though, was even smaller than Velva. I went to a little school that there was 5 kids in my kindergarten class.
Right.
And literally 5 kids. K through 12.
It's like a homeschool co-op.
Right? K through 12, all the same building in this little town, Butte. And, of course, those were co-opted into bigger schools. But, I had the pleasure of going K through 12. And, you knew everybody and everybody knew you. And I always tell Shawn, there was absolutely no bullying allowed in our school because there was so many families. Like we had 6 in ours, which was siblings was pretty normal, but there was 3 families with 16 kids.
Oh, wow.
So you
couldn't beat up on anybody's brother or sister.
There was a sibling around the corner somewhere. And you were, so it wasn't that way. But I will say one of the things that was really neat about it is, we were very fortunate to live in a very rural place and a lot of outdoor activity, and it was super fun that way. But yeah, it was culture shock when meeting Shawn, and we went to Seattle to the university district and places like that. He's like, "You're quiet." I'm like, well,
so
isolated.
I tell a story. That's a true story. I mean, Janet was born in a house without running water.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, so you just think of how things have changed in the last 50 some years.
Yeah. That was Paul's mom too. No electricity, no running water, and they had like 11 kids, and they made their own soap. I mean, it was, if they didn't grow it, they didn't eat it. Right?
Well, I always tell Shawn the story of going to school where I was not going to drink the milk at the school. There was something to my brain that said, it doesn't smell right. And so they wanted a little meeting with my parents, and my dad said, no, she doesn't need to drink that milk. She doesn't like it. And that was it. It was over. And it was just like, because I had never had milk from a carton or from one of the dispensers. And I was like, this smells wrong.